will be to Isaac.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Dear Isaac in Louisiana, thank you so much for your letter and the pictures you sent me.
This call is from the Canopy County Sheriff's Office.
They found the skeleton of a crocodile over 40 feet long. You would not want to mess with one of those. Anyway, so I want to respond to your letter here, Isaac, orally. And since you asked several questions I thought might help everybody. You said you thought there are several reasons why you think Leviathan in Job 41 cannot be a T-Rex. You think it's probably a big crocodile like that one you sent me the pictures of. You said, number one, a T-Rex can't swim in the water. It has tiny arms. Well, Isaac, I would have to disagree. The alligator folds its front arms back against its body and it swims using its tail. So I think the T-Rex could probably swim very well. I don't know that Leviathan is the T-Rex. That's just my best guess. And I cover that in my video, Leviathan, the fire-breathing dragon. But it is indeed a guess. But you don't have to have front arms to swim. Snakes can swim just fine. Don't have any arms or legs. So then you said the T-Rex was made on day 6 and Leviathan on day 5. I'd have to see some proof of that, Isaac. I don't know where you'd find that out. Maybe it's true, but I can't see that in the Bible. And so you think Leviathan was this Saurochus, however you pronounce this dinosaur name, the giant crocodile. And it may be, you may be right, but I think you haven't convinced me it can't be the T-Rex either. So, okay, you said in the story of the rich man and Lazarus, your second question, it appeared from the story that they both had resurrected bodies, while one in Hades and the other in paradise. I realized this was before Christ's resurrection. With that said, after the resurrection of Christ, will they have a different body? Would it be a glorified body, and would it be one that would come after his second advent? Boy, a good question, Isaac. I don't understand all that's going to happen, but I know Paul said to be absent from the bodies to be present with the Lord. That apparently is after the resurrection of Christ, now that our sins are cleansed and not just covered. The pre-resurrection people, apparently when they died, they went to Abraham's bosom. They did not go to heaven. They went to paradise, as you mentioned, the rich man and Lazarus, which is not a parable. It's a true story because no names are ever given in parables. So it actually happened. So it looks to me like, yes, we get a resurrected body, or maybe they just are resurrected as a spirit and then the body comes later. That is something I've studied carefully and I still don't have an answer. I'm still searching on that one. But it's only been 46 years. I'll get it eventually. Okay, your next question. Was the canopy made of water, ice, or vapor? And if so, is there any evidence for it? Nobody knows. I suspect it was probably ice because that would solve many problems. You might want to contact Carl Baugh, B-A-U-G-H, in Glen Rose, Texas, southwest of Dallas. His website is creationevidence.org, I think. But he has some great stuff on the canopy. He thinks it was ice. I think it was ice also, probably 2 or 3 inches thick. Now, you find some creationist organizations do not believe there was a canopy. I think they're wrong, and I'm right. If you get my book, which you mentioned later that you've been reading, my book, What on Earth is About to Happen, for heaven's sake, about end times, in there I mentioned a couple of guys in Colorado, Littleton, Colorado, that have written a great book on the canopy of the ice and what it would do. I forget their names right now, but Eric somebody, and the other one has like a Cajun name, Boudreaux or something. But that book is fabulous. It's a little technical, heavy reading, but really, really good, especially on how radioactive decay can be compressed down to minutes. They can take, what they think would take millions of years under high pressure, high temperature, can happen in just a matter of minutes or seconds, indicating you can't trust any radioactive decay datings. So that's worth reading just for that. Third question, or fourth question here, is Noah's Ark, excuse me, is Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat or located somewhere else? I don't know. I believe Ron Wyatt found it. I believe that the Turkish government built a visitor center there, and it's 17 miles south of Mount Ararat. If you go to the website, WyattMuseum.com, they have tons of stuff on that, including a great book by Nell Wyatt, Ron's wife. Ron died in 99, but the book is just fabulous, loaded with pictures and everything else. If you go north out of Alabama, toward Nashville on the interstate, I think it's 65, as soon as you get into Tennessee, look for mile marker 27. Get off right there at the exit, and at the northwest corner, there's a converted gas station converted into a museum. That's where Ron Wyatt's museum is, taken over by Richard Reeves, good friend of mine, and they got some great stuff, great evidence on the finding of Noah's Ark. So it is near Mount Ararat, but not on Mount Ararat. It is highly unlikely that any boat would land on a mountain as the water recedes. It would tend to wash off to one side or the other. You could try this in a bathtub, float a sponge in the bathtub and bring your knee up under it. It's much more likely to float off to one side than it is to stick on the top. It'd be a rare event to get it to stick on your knee. It'd come off to the side. So I think either as the water was going down or the mountains were coming up, Psalm 104 talks about that, but either way the effect's the same. The ark would tend to drift away from the peak of the mountain just by the swirling water and end up somewhere else. And then I think it's been moved many miles, maybe 10 or 12, 15 miles since then by earthquakes and mudslides. So it probably landed near the mountain and has been pushed down now, including ripping the bottom off, because the bottom seems to be up there near the mountain.
This call is from the Canopy County Sheriff's Office.
You can read about the ballast stones and all that stuff on the books at WyattMuseum.com. Okay, another question. You said, where will the Antichrist come from? I don't know. When you look at the last chapter of my book, What on Earth is About to Happen, I reference in there a couple of other books that are just fabulous on this, the idea that the Antichrist and the end times kingdom, the 10 kingdoms that come against Israel, is a Muslim alliance. Joel Richardson has written 2 books, and they are referenced in there, including address and where to get them. Fabulous. He thinks probably going to be a leader arise in Syria, maybe an ISIS leader or something like that. We don't know yet. I sure don't know. Okay, you said, lastly, I read a few pages of your book on end times and found it interesting. I'll recommend your book to everyone. I found out you starred in a documentary called After the Tribulation with Steve Anderson. Is there any way to convince someone that there is no proof of the pre-trib? Well, people get pretty stuck in their position, what they believe, especially if they've taught it for years, or if they have a financial interest. Maybe they've written a book on pre-trib, and now they have to defend that position because their book sales will drop off to nothing. That would be sad. But there are people who feel that way. I'm not that way. I say, man, if I taught something that's wrong and change it, and if it destroys my video sales or book sales, too bad. I want the truth. So, yeah, I think the simplest way, Isaac, that I know is to line up all 10 verses that talk about the sun and the moon going dark. Acts chapter 2 said the sun and the moon go dark before the day of the Lord.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21 say, after the tribulation, the sun and the moon go dark. So that lines it up right there. You got tribulation, sun and moon, and then the day of the Lord, which includes the wrath time. Anyway, I hope that helps. Thank you for your letter, Isaac. Keep serving the Lord, and if I can be of any help, let me know.